Who could have predicted that housewives, educators, and inmates would morph into frontline warriors, flipping the script on Russia's invasion? In this tale of unlikely defenders, tens of thousands of Ukrainian women are battling Putin's forces, turning kitchens into command centers and prisons into battlegrounds. Picture the shock on invading troops' faces as they clash with these fierce fighters, women fueled by loss and rage, shattering Moscow's master plans. This isn't just war, it's a radical shift in human courage. Ukraine's warrior women, dubbed Amazons and witches, form an unbreachable barrier, rewriting Russia's tactical playbook. To grasp this lopsided defiance, we peer through barred gates to a defining Ukrainian choice. When Russia's tidal waves of soldiers and endless barrages threatened to overwhelm, Kyiv's defense ministry broke from tradition, unlocking cell doors to bolster their defenses. Emerging weren't hardened thugs like Wagner's hired guns, but females eager to redeem old errors in the muck of battle. Meet Tequila, a codenamed trooper embodying this bold shift. "Are you part of the assault squad?" an officer asked her. "Sure," doubts lingered, she admitted, "but if they call for a charge now, I'm in." Her prison release moment? "I inhaled deeply, the outdoor breath tasted fresher, freer." Confined in a drab, fog-shrouded facility northeast of Kharkiv, Tequila endured isolation from everyday joys, the stale stench of confinement clinging like sorrow. Yet war unlocked an unforeseen escape. For her, liberty wasn't relaxation back home, it meant gripping a rifle at the enemy's brink. The cold steel warm in her palms. That leap from frigid cot to sludge-filled foxholes captured it perfectly. Her tale spotlights not singular redemption, but a nation's rebirth, where desperation forges unbreakable resolve. Through her recounts, we see how communities fought back against occupiers, their voices echoing defiance in humid air. Numerous such female combatants mirror her path. What drives this surge of women enlisting? Officials from Ukraine's penitentiary service label it paradoxical. Swapping jails' predictability, nourishing meals, snug beds, guarded safety, for war zones where mortar blasts could rip you apart. Not logical. But deeper drives, remorse laced with vengeance, trump self-preservation. Commander Hedgehog, also codenamed, distinguishes their fervor from men's. For these women, the front offers redemption, shedding convict for hero in society's gaze. Charging Russian lines with a rifle stirs not terror, but urgent purpose, the earth trembling under boots. Helena, a 36-year-old ex-chef jailed for petty wrongs, exemplifies this evolution. Her enlistment transcends penance, its raw agony. Losing her 25-year son and spouse in Avdiivka's inferno, she wields despair as a dagger. A warrior stripped of anchors is most perilous. Helena and kin pose erratic dangers to Russians, fear eclipsed by retribution's fire. Beyond these figures, 70,000 unheralded women volunteered for Ukraine's lines, with 5,500 on active frontage. They garrison the grimmest zones. Bucha epitomizes this. At midnight, metallic thuds pierce Bucha's heavens, like a vintage Maxim gun awakening. Its roar ready to dismantle high-tech foes into junk. Here, the Bucha witches assemble beyond cages, amid daily hustle. Which isn't fairy tale folklore, it's Russian flyers' nightmare dread. Bucha, scarred by 2022's savagery where streets reeked of violence, channels that trauma into disciplined might. Daytime, these ladies teach, heal, pamper nails, or tally ledgers. Dusk turns them into airspace guardians, their hands shifting from soft labors to firm grips. This dual life model, unseen in modern conflicts, yields lethal outcomes. Their gear showcases tech imbalance vividly. Russia unleashes costly Iranian Shahid-136 kamikaze drones on cities, whining like buzzing mopeds. Bucha's witches counter fearlessly, risking all. Some wield whatever comes, like the Heft Maxim. Its unbroken hail shreds drones slow arcs, upgraded with laser dots, heat cams, and tracking pads. In a teacher's or vet's clutch, it forms a digital shield. These women master even tricky gear. No age bars them. Valentina, aka Valkyrie, a 51-year veterinarian, proves it. Trigger-pulling prowess crosses generations, her 2022 ordeal, when a Russian aimed at her boy, ignited her fighter soul over homemaker ways. "I may limp, but I handle that gun," she declares, exposing Putin's blind spots. Enrage a parent, and you spawn a foe defying every doctrine. Math instructor Inna blends worlds too, forest outpost duty, swapping camo for classroom chalk to explain equations, then back to guns thunder at eve. No clash between educating minds and striking foes, both shield tomorrow. These mobile squads improvise no random shots. Tablet apps map drone paths, forming firing triangles to eliminate swarms, a dollar bullet win over missile fortunes. Tactically, economically crushing. Women's roles in Ukraine's military evolved from sidelines to vital, forcing Moscow's strategists to rethink. Projections show over 70,000 females in arms by late 2025, nearing 100,000, a 40% hike from 2021. Shift's essence matters hugely. Past roles stuck to support, aides, medics, paperwork. Now, many man-zero lines, facing enemies gaze under ceaseless shelling. No longer mere medics or comms, now tank leaders, sharpshooters, battery gunners, drone handlers. Psychological toll on Russians equals artillery's blast. They peddle tales of a battered Ukraine propped by West's mercenaries, but ground truths crush illusions. Picturing a sniper or bomber as a vengeful local mom sparks creeping dread. Colonel Andrei Verlady on Bucha's formation, guys fell in, some ducked out, but women? Fiercer than males, they've sparked divine wrath, untouchable, by Russia's ruination of their worlds and kin. Ripples extend socioeconomically. War upends gender norms, women fill male voids in shipping, factories. Crafting gear for female combatants spurs industry. Instead of war weariness hardening society, extension builds resilience. Ukraine's manpower swells, not dwindles. Figures like Inna sustain civility amid defense, dooming Russia's inhabitability plots. Schools buzz, lessons flow, yet recess triggers not shelters, but strategic moves. Over the skies of Bucha, a strange hum persists, metallic rumblings echo nonstop. Midnight turns to dawn. The chilling sound of heavy machine guns from the 1930s seems alive again, tearing through the night air, ready to reduce modern technology to scrap metal. This is the story of the Bucha Witches, an extraordinary group of part-time fighters, operating right in the heart of civilian life. These women aren't mythic figures, they are ordinary citizens turned defenders, feared by Russian pilots lurking in the dark. Once shattered by brutal invasion, Bucha streets are now a battleground where trauma has forged discipline. By day, they are teachers, doctors, manicure artists, or accountants. Come sundown, they transform into Ukraine's frontline guardians, some armed with just courage, others with weapons. This part-time soldier model defies tradition, rare, yet devastatingly effective. Their arsenal showcases technological disparity. Russian forces push Iranian-made Shahid 136 kamikaze drones, costly, deadly, and relentless. But these women stand their ground, fearless. Some seize any weapon at hand, even the humble Maxim machine gun, whose fixed, relentless firepower can tear apart slow-moving drones making moped-like sounds high above. Outfitted with laser pointers, thermal scopes, and tablets, a teacher or veterinarian morphs into a fierce air defense warrior. Age is no barrier here. Valentina, dubbed Valkyrie, stands tall, 51 years old, yet undeterred. Once a veterinarian, she now fights with unyielding resolve. When a Russian soldier once held a gun to her son's head, something shifted. She chose to become an active defender, wielding a machine gun instead of retreating. Her words echo, "I may not be able to run, but I can use this gun." Can you imagine the raw determination behind that statement? As night falls over Bucha again, these women patrol the skies, lights flickering from thermal scopes, the distant thrum of engines, anticipation thick in the air. Their presence is a silent promise, fearless, fierce, unbreakable. But the question remains, how long can this extraordinary resilience endure against an enemy wielding billions in weapons? The future of this battleground, its women, and the entire nation hangs precariously in the balance. Her age, 51 years old, didn't stop her from stepping up. In 2022, a tense moment changed everything for Valentina, known as Valkyrie, the veterinarian who captured the heart of her unit. A threat loomed over her son, forcing her to shed her everyday role and embrace a fierce protector. What if a single moment could forge unbreakable resolve? Imagine the chill of fear turning into fire, that's Valentina's story. She declares with quiet power, I might not sprint across fields anymore, but I can hold steady and defend what's mine. This hits like a thunderclap, a truth that echoes beyond battle lines, one that leaders far away fail to grasp. Push a mother to her edge, and you unleash a force wilder than any plan imagined. Picture this, the sharp scent of chalk dust mixes with the earthy damp of hidden posts. A math teacher, let's call her Ina, slips from her woodland watch, stashes her gear in the car, and strides into the classroom. She explains equations to wide-eyed students, her voice steady as the numbers on the board. Then, as dusk falls, she returns to her night duties, the weight of responsibility pulling her back. Doesn't this blur the lines between ordinary days and extraordinary calls? It's the pulse of a nation fully awake, every citizen woven into the defense. For Ina, no divide exists. The fingers that trace formulas by day, grip purpose by night. Both hands, shields for tomorrow's hopes. These swift response teams, they're far from scattered efforts. With apps glowing on their screens, they map paths in the dark sky, sketching angles for precise action. They counter massive aerial pushes, not with endless costs, but simple, smart choices that save resources. Bullets worth pennies, topple threats worth fortunes. Ukraine claims a clever edge here, both in strategy and savings. Shocking, isn't it? Russia's bold moves falter against this ingenuity. But wait, how did these women shift from symbols to saviors? Their role in the forces, no longer just a nod to equality. It's raw numbers, a wall Moscow's planners can't dismiss. By late 2025, over 70,000 women will stand in Ukraine's ranks, pushing toward 100,000. From 2021 levels, that's a staggering 40% rise. The why behind it cuts deeper than the count. Once, women filled support spots, handling supplies, care, or paperwork from safer zones. Now? The twist hits hard, many claim spots at the forefront, that intense line where challenges never pause. They're not sidelined anymore. They lead vehicles, spot from afar, guide heavy fire, even pilot small scouts. The mind games this plays, rival any direct clash. Russian tales paint Ukraine's defenders as weary, propped by outsiders. Yet reality shatters that myth on contact. Facing a watchful eye, or an overhead shadow, from someone who taught lessons or raised a family, it stirs unease deep within. As one observer noted, many men stepped forward or stepped away, but these women? Their inner fire burns fiercer. By appending homes and bonds, they've ignited a righteous fury, one that's untouchable. This wave reshapes more than fronts. It stirs Ukraine's very fabric. Gender lines bend under war's weight. Men scarce in factories and flows, women step in seamlessly. Crafting gear tailored for them, sparks fresh ways to build and adapt. The long haul was meant to wear down spirits, but instead, it tempers them like steel. Resources don't dwindle, they grow. Figures like Ina keep daily rhythms alive, while bolstering guards. Lessons ring out, even amid alerts, ensuring no corner falls silent. What hidden strength will emerge next from this unbreakable chain? In the last segment, we uncovered how 70,000 women soldiers now bolster Ukraine's forces, surging toward 100,000 by 2025, a 40% leap from 2021. These aren't just rearguard roles, they're frontline warriors shaking the battlefield. But what if the shockwaves go deeper, turning everyday fears into fierce defense? Imagine a world where your enemy's propaganda crumbles, not from bombs, but from the unsung heroism of mothers and teachers who haunt the night skies. These fierce defenders now guard the zero line, that razor edge where enemies lock eyes and shells thunder endlessly, no mercy. No longer confined to nursing wounds or sending messages, they're commanding tanks, sniping from shadows, firing artillery volleys, and piloting FPV drones with deadly precision. The Russians, brainwashed by their own lies that paint Ukrainians as weary souls propped up by foreign guns, now taste the bitter truth. Paranoia grips them, rifle sights might hide a vengeful mom from a razed village, or a buzzing drone above could be guided by a mother's hand, desperate for justice. Listen, the acrid stench of charcoal fires mixing with fresh earth as a soldier recalls that night in 2022, cold metal of a trigger under trembling fingers, wind howling like wounded beasts, the sharp crack of a single shot echoing through fog-shrouded fields. In that flashback, she wasn't just surviving, she was awakening a rage that refused to die. Why does this matter? Because Russia's defeat isn't just physical, it's psychological, a devastation as crushing as any explosion. Colonel Andrei Verlady, dissecting the Bucha unit's terror, says it plain: many men marched forward or fled, but women? They surpass savagery, for Kremlin horrors ignited a holy fury against destroyed homes and shattered families, untouchable. This upheaval ripples far beyond trenches, it's molding a new Ukraine. War has shattered old molds, women now fill male voids in factories and supply chains, crafting bulletproof vests, specialized gear for frontline sisters. Where exhaustion was predicted, resilience blooms instead, no army depleting, but growing stronger. Teacher Inna, a double life now, proves it, teaching math by day, her fingers dusty with chalk, then swapping for gun grips at dusk, the metallic tang of weapon oil mingling with classroom book smells. No split soul here, just one vigilant guardian of tomorrow. Could this hidden army humiliate invaders through sheer willpower alone? As stealthy fires pin drones like fireflies, leaving Russian pilots trembling in the dark, one wonders, will Putin ever grasp the storm he unleashed? And just as night swallows the last echo of gunfire, a twist emerges: these ordinary women are rewriting history, but what if their next move turns the tides irreversibly? Stay tuned. Russian forces rampaged through Bucha in 2022, but instead of breaking the spirit of its people, they ignited a fierce resolve that turned teachers, veterinarians, and cooks into nighttime guardians of the skies. Have you ever wondered what happens when a mother's grief turns into a lethal weapon, outsmarting an empire's war machine with nothing but grit and a relic machine gun? It's a tale of defiance that shatters all expectations, where the soil of Ukraine pulses with the heartbeat of resistance. Imagine the midnight air thick with tension, the whir of drones like angry wasps buzzing overhead, and the cold metal of a trigger under fingers once used for chalk and calculations. Teacher Inna doesn't flee to air raid shelters when the recess bell rings, she sprints to her anti-aircraft position. Her nails dig into the rough grip of the weapon, the acrid smell of gunpowder mixing with the dew on her skin. Why does she fight? Because every shot echoes the vow to protect her students' future, not just from bombs, but from surrender itself. This isn't just survival, it's rebellion. Ukraine's radical defiance stares down Russia's relentless bombings. Power plants crumble, but the network of unyielding will endures. Can you bombs erase the resolve of a people who see every window as a sniper's nest? Streets once ravaged by horror now hum with defiance, where every civilian becomes a soldier in this invisible war. Zoom out, and the Kremlin's fatal blunder shines clear. They bet on terror to paralyze, to instill fear through atrocities like those in Bucha. Yet, terror has a tipping point, beyond it. Hatred crystallizes into cold, calculated action. By butchering innocents, Russia didn't quell resistance, they forged it into an unbreakable force. Roofs and alleys transform into firing points, the grit of mud under boots and the roar of gunfire a symphony of vengeance. How do you conquer that? Conventional armies fall to battle or blockade, but this is Ukraine's total mobilization. Prisoners like Tequila, liberated from cells to trenches, and mothers like Valkyrie, robbed of sons and husbands, form a flexible army driven by raw existence. Statistical superiority crumbles, Russia's hordes meet a nation where weapons are wielded by those with nothing left to lose. At war's dawn, Putin sneered at a Ukrainian force of 200,000 to 300,000. But now? Over 10 million reservists, every capable woman a combatant. The humiliation bites deep. Did the Kremlin foresee this twist, where kitchens and classrooms birth warriors fiercer than generals ever imagined? Each day unveils more female fighters, tank commanders, FPV drone pilots, snipers whose eyes, hardened by loss, humiliate invaders who thought fear would win. What terror haunts Russian lines? Knowing the shadowy figure directing artillery or drones could be a vet or a teacher, eyes blazing with sacred fury. It's not bullets that devastate, but the psychological storm, the paranoia of facing not just soldiers, but a populace reborn in rage. This war's prolongation, meant to exhaust, has only tempered Ukraine like steel. Male shortages? Women fill factories, forging armor and uniforms. Aid fades? Internal strength surges. Proving resilience beyond foreign aid. Western eyes see these witches, part-time protectors, and rally anew, shattering fatigue. Can Russia escape this dead end? They've ignited a fire that consumes their myths. Ukraine's women, once confined, now stand as the impenetrable barrier, but what's next as fury builds, ready to unleash replies none could predict. In the face of total Ukraine mobilization, traditional notions of power crumble. At the conflict's outset, Putin believed his army was 200,000 to 300,000 strong. Today, he's facing a nation where every woman with a weapon becomes a soldier. Over 10 million reservists stand ready. This shift shifts the entire battlefield, and the balance of victory. The nights now echo with a new kind of warfare, one that Putin never anticipated. What if the war's true strength comes from unexpected sources? Ukraine's resilience isn't just about Western aid or conventional troops. It's about the women, once civilians, now fierce fighters. The shadowy figures hunting drones at night, women with night vision goggles, are not just military success stories. They send a bold message: support Ukraine or lose it all. This isn't just warfare, it's diplomacy in action. And it shows the Kremlin that Ukraine's human resource pool is infinitely deeper than anticipated. Mapmakers now include mothers, teachers, and nurses turned snipers in their calculations. Russian commanders must think twice before deploying troops, because in these territories, civilians are weaponized, hunting the invaders in darkness. Every night, the skies over Bucha and the trenches of Kharkiv are filled with the sounds of these hidden warriors, an unrelenting warning to the Kremlin: victory in darkness is illusory. The occupation's cost is soaring beyond control. The conquest becomes a nightmare, every square kilometer teeming with witches, ready to strike when least expected. What Putin failed to grasp is terrifying: cities can be bombed, power grids shattered. But the human spirit, especially that of mothers seeking justice, remains indestructible. Behind every destroyed building, in every shadow, these women revive the hope of Ukraine. Their fury is the collapse of an empire. The shadows of Bucha, the trenches of Kharkiv, now mirror the unraveling of an entire regime. The true power lies not just in weapons but in the unseen: mothers, teachers, and ordinary women transformed into lethal guardians of their homeland. The Kremlin thought darkness would be its ally, but it has become the territory where mothers wait, eyes blazing, ready to avenge every lost child. And as the night falls over Ukrainian skies, the unstoppable force of female resistance burns brighter than any missile, proof that resilience can turn even the darkest night into a battlefield of hope. The battlefield is no longer just trenches and tanks. It has shifted into an invisible realm where digital warriors reign. These women, once confined to kitchens, classrooms, or prisons, now command the skies with technology that leaves the Russian military baffled and terrified. Every night, their presence looms like an ominous shadow over the enemy's hopes of victory. But how are these ordinary women transforming into elite fighters? Tonight, the sky itself seems to whisper a new truth: victory is no longer dictated solely by brute force. The Ukrainian women operating cutting-edge FPV drones have changed the game. No longer are victory and defeat determined by tanks or infantry alone. Instead, milliseconds and precision define the outcome. Imagine a young woman, 26-year-old Oksana, once a graphic designer, now a nightmare for Russian tank crews. Her weapon? A simple game controller paired with VR goggles. In her hands, this ordinary device becomes an extension of her will, turning the might of Russian armored divisions into scrap metal within moments. This digital revolution is rewriting the rules of combat. Russian electronic warfare systems struggle to keep up with the agility of these women. Ukrainian data shows women pilot over 30% of drone strikes, and the results speak volumes. Russian soldiers' radio communications crackle with rising panic. Their heavy tanks, once symbols of brute strength, are now vulnerable targets of this silent, relentless force. How can a controller and a pair of goggles undermine a superpower's tanks? The answer lies in the speed and finesse of female operators. Sitting safely behind screens, their precision slices through the chaos, creating destruction as deadly as artillery. As dawn approaches, the horror of this unseen war continues to unfold. The battlefield now extends beyond physicality, it lives in milliseconds, in the corridors of technology. These women do not just participate, they dominate. Their impact is undeniable. A new era has dawned, where courage and cyberspace collide, rewriting the future of warfare itself. Yet, what hidden power lies in the minds of these digital warriors? The Kremlin remains blind, unable to grasp that the true strength is born from the human spirit, unbreakable and unstoppable as a mother's resolve to protect her child. In our last glimpse into this unfolding saga, schools and shelters stand as bastions amidst chaos, yet teachers like Inna wield power no less potent than a roaring artillery battery. Ukrainian Defense Ministry data reveals that women operators unleash over 30% of all FPV drone strikes. This mathematical nightmare leaves Russia's grand plans in irrevocable checkmate. Now, picture this strategic shockwave: while Russian forces frantically label threats as elite commandos, they face digital defeat at the hands of a young university student, her fingers dancing over a joystick in a dimly lit basement. In this virtual battlefield, gender fades into irrelevance, only raw skill and cunning intellect prevail, and Russia's sluggish bureaucracy simply can't catch up. But warfare here isn't mere obliteration, it's about salvation too, embodied by the guardian spirits of the gray zone. Flash back for a moment to those searing summer nights of 2022, the acrid stench of gunpowder mingling with the damp earth, the distant hiss of mortar shells piercing the air like venomous whispers, your skin prickling under the relentless drizzle as shadows dart across ruined streets. That visceral terror lingers as a catalyst for change. At the war's fiercest junctures, along the bloodied stretches of Pokrovsk and Kupiansk, it's predominantly women who command armored ambulances, threading through a hail of shrapnel and death. Dubbed the Iron Angels, these rescue squads expose Russia's darkest flaw: their utter indifference to flesh and blood. When Russian troops lie wounded, they bleed out forsaken, abandoned like discarded gear in a forgotten corner. In stark contrast, a Ukrainian woman driver plunges into a mine-riddled inferno, risking everything for just one comrade. Can you imagine the gnawing humiliation? The 32-year-old paramedic named Irina maneuvers a bullet-pocked evacuation vehicle through hellfire, her movements a stark lesson in solidarity that Russian soldiers spy through binoculars, envy boiling into rage. On their side, the fallen are cast off as burdens, fueling waves of insubordination and desertions. For a Russian fighter, nothing terrifies quite like a witch's gunfire, except the cold certainty that no angel awaits to pull him from his own agony. In essence, the Ukrainian army has transformed into an unstoppable force, amplified by the unyielding resolve of its women, a barrier Putin can't breach. It's their tireless stand for freedom that keeps the invader at bay. But what if I told you this digital guerrilla tactic flips the entire conflict on its head, shattering old certainties and exposing vulnerabilities no enemy doctrine anticipated? Every click of that student's joystick echoes as a digital thunderclap, promising more upheaval ahead. The ongoing struggle reveals a profound truth: women are now the backbone of Ukraine's fight for freedom. Their courage, resilience, and unwavering sacrifice have shifted the balance of power. Russians thought their might was invincible, but Ukrainian women are rewriting the rules of war. The question is, will this unstoppable force break the enemy's very spirit or confront a darkness they never expected? In the last segment, we explored how Tequila, stepping from a chilly bunk into muddy trenches, symbolized Ukraine's national rebirth, her armed fight against occupation revealing a deeper societal shift. Imagine this: what if the fiercest warriors on the battlefield were once confined behind bars, their past shadows fueling an unbreakable rage? Picture the gritty paradox of swapping a secure jail cell, warm meals, soft beds, distant safety, for the deafening chaos of trenches, where mortar blasts could pulverize everything in a heartbeat. Yet, that's exactly the stark choice thousands of Ukrainian women are making, driven not by logic, but by a burning need to atone and avenge. Hedgehog, the battlefield commander, nails the distinction: for these women, the front lines erase the criminal stigma, forging a new hero identity instead. Advancing on Russian positions with an assault rifle gripped in trembling hands? It's not terror gripping them, it's raw survival, a primal call to exist. Helena, a 36-year-old ex-cook jailed for petty offenses, embodies this soul-shaking change. Her drive isn't just remorse, it's searing agony from losing her 25-year-old son and husband in the fiery inferno of Bakhmut. Now, with nothing left to tie her back, she wields a deadly resolve, her lost loved one's echoes pushing her beyond fear into ferocious retribution. Isn't it chilling how someone stripped bare becomes the ultimate threat in war? Helena and her sisters loom as chaotic storms for Russian troops, their heartbeats sinking with revenge rather than dread, turning predictable attrition into panicked disorder. Beyond these tales, stand 70,000 unnamed women who have volunteered for Ukraine's front lines, with 5,500 already entrenched in the harshest zones. These aren't rearguard roles, they hold the perilous zero line, exchanging glances with foes amid ceaseless artillery thunder. Bucha, scarred by 2022's brutal invasion, stands as their defiant emblem. But what if these everyday women, from teachers to vets, morph into aerial guardians by dusk? Pissed, feel the metallic growl of vintage Maxims echoing at midnight, shredding high-tech drones into twisted scrap. What hidden power awakens when moms and mentors unleash that fury,